Hi, and thanks for joining me. I have another flip video of Crafter's Companion box kit. This one is number 21. It's their Build a Character. And I already have all of my characters assembled, but in this case, what I decided to do for my flat card was I actually just used the die cut of the tiger and traced around it to create my image here. So I took each piece of the pre-printed die cuts and then I just traced it onto my card blank directly, and I sort of just hand drew in some of the other kind of highlights, like the little stripes on the tiger. And I'm just using these are just kind of cheap Crayola colored pencils, so they're not the perfect medium, but I think it's kind of fun because this whole this log and the little sort of grass and flowers to the side, it's all very sketchy, and so I was going for this sort of soft storybook effect, and so I've just pulled out various shades of yellows and oranges, and I keep just kind of layering up the color just to build a little bit of that depth and dimension. And again, this is directly on the Crafter's Companion provided card blanks, and so that also might not be the best material for using colored pencils, because it doesn't have, a lot of times it helps if you have a slightly rougher edge, kind of like watercolor paper, so that it grabs a little bit more of the wax off of the colored pencils. And of course, having colored pencils that are more pigmented and not wax based also would make this look a little bit more kind of intense and vibrant, but I sort of like that soft sort of sketchy look. I'm just not getting a lot of depth of color, so I keep going in over these stripy areas to try to get a little bit more color in those spots. But I really like how this turned out, and it's sort of just a different way of using your die cut pieces, because it's not a stamp, so it's imperfect, the outline of the tiger, but again, that sort of goes with that whole sketchy look of the log and the little flowers, because those are intentionally a little sketchy. So I think overall the effect still works really well together. And for this sentiment, you do get a chat bubble stamp, as well as different sentiments that you can put inside. And just to make this a little bit more complete, I'm giving a little bit of a sky background, just like I added a little bit of green as a hint of the grass. And this is the first time I'm making a card that's kind of in this style, and I really like it. I actually might invest in maybe some higher quality colored pencils, just so that I can maybe create something that has this effect, but just a little bit more effective. I think if you have higher quality colored pencils, it might actually look a little bit nicer. And here I actually I just fussy cut the entire bottom portion of the tiger. So the sheet that has the die cuts for the tiger also includes a pre-printed tiger, and you can kind of use that whole portion if you just fussy cut that. So that was quick and simple. This is another really fast card. One of their pre-printed pattern paper has these really fun backgrounds. And so I already have my assembled die cut characters, and I'm going to add a couple of them here with some of the chat bubbles that I also punched out from their die cut pieces and stamped sentiment onto. And there you have it. Really quick slimline card. And this one, again, is also going to be really, in the same vein, very quick, because this really pretty rainbow cloud background is another one of the pattern papers that's included in the kit. And so I just stamped out, and I'm fussy cutting out this little chat bubble for my sentiment, and I've already assembled my unicorn, which is one of the die cut characters that you can create. And so if you didn't already catch it, I do have a separate video on how I assembled all of the characters that I'm using on my cards here. And for this one, again, I'm just going to layer up some pieces. So I've sort of gutted out the center of this layer just so that I can preserve some of the solid color cardstock. And on top of that, I'm going to layer over this really pretty heart pattern. This is one of the pattern papers that comes in the kit. And I did use, for this frame, I used a Sizzix die set, that photo frame die set, and it's super cute. It actually does cut out the I heart this sentiment into the little Polaroid style photo frame, and then I just have a little bit of that cloudy background that was left over from my previous card, and I put my little puppy dog in the center of that. Okay, so for this one, I did have to prototype this a bunch before I could get it to really work the way I wanted, and this honeycomb embossed panel is actually from, I think it's from a magazine kit, paper crafting magazine kit, and I'm actually using the debossed side. You can see I inked the embossed side, but I decided I didn't want to use that. I wanted this to be a little bit more subtle, and so I'm using the white side. And then I've just created some, using some small brads, I created a lever, kind of a pivot mechanism where I can pivot the tiger's arm up and down to kind of make it look like he's waving when you pull this tab. So I'm adding a little bit of foam just to create some rails for that arm to slide up and down, and I'm gonna add some more foam just to make this whole panel sit up on top of the card base, but I'm making sure to give a good clearance away from any moving pieces on my mechanism. And so my initial idea was I wanted to have several different levers so that you could move different parts of his body. So like you could make his head shake back and forth, make his arm wave up and down. But I just couldn't figure out how to add so many pull tab mechanisms because the tiger itself is so small. So I just decided to just leave it to the one moving mechanism. So I'm just positioning where I want to put his body so that the arm doesn't ever look too disconnected from the rest of his body. And so it's nice with these pre-printed die cut pieces that you do get these different pieces of the body that you paper doll together, and that way you can kind of have things move independently. So I think I had considered making it so that the tail could move, one or both of the arms, and then the head as well. So I'm just gonna kind of surgically place foam wherever I can tuck it in so that it's not gonna interfere with the moving mechanism, but also keep everything as flush and level as possible. And then just to add some extra kind of interaction, I'm putting the head on a wobbler, and that way you can still kind of make his head wobble, and then by pulling on the tab you can make his arm kind of wave up and down. So a couple different interactions there, and I think this turned out to be pretty cute in the end. It was a really fun little sort of design exercise to just try to create this lever mechanism to make the arm move up and down. I wish I had been able to move more pieces of him, but I think in the end it turned out pretty cute. So all I have to do is just add the little chat bubble sentiment, and then that will finish up this card. So this is going to be my last card. It's my pop-up card, and this, you can see off to the side there, I've already stamped my sentiment onto one of the really striking kind of patterns included in this kit. And because I wanted to add just a little hint of additional color, I added some solid color cardstock to the two sides as well. And I've got more of that sky background that was left over from the unicorn card, so I'm going to use that portion here. And if you happen to catch my flip video on the layered stencil box, I used this parcel pop-up die set from Karen Burniston to create this little pop-up mechanism. She has really fantastic tutorials on how to put together all of her pop-up dies, and so I'm not going into detail. I've already pre-assembled everything here. I do sort of wish that I had cut out that mechanism, or at least inked it over in a sky blue background, because the white, I didn't realize so much of the white would be visible, and so that's one thing that I wish I kind of did a little bit differently. And then originally I wanted to put the elephant in here, but whatever you put onto this panel does need to fit in between those sort of portions that are popping that panel out from the card. And so there is a little bit of a size limitation there. So that's why I swapped over to the lion, which is one of the die cut characters that you can assemble and create. So kind of looks like the lion is popping out from behind this little grassy hill. But as I mentioned, so much of that white pop-up mechanism is visible that I wish I had inked it. As a final touch to my characters, I think I mentioned in the separate video that I have where I show you how I created those characters, I did add a little touch of the white gel pen to the eyes, and that just makes the characters come to life a little bit more. So I did the black glaze initially when I put the characters together, and once that was dry, then I was able to go over that again. And so you can see the puppy has it. I guess I missed it on the unicorn that you saw just now, so I'll probably go back and do that before I send out that card. But I think it does make all the difference in the world to just add that little bit of a highlight. So here are my final cards, and so this is my, going in reverse order, this is my pop-up card. Kept it really simple on the outside so that all the fun's really on the inside. And this is my interactive. So there's two interactions. There's the wobbler for the head, and then you can pull the little tab to make his arm wave. And then my next set of cards will be layered cards. So I do have several. So this is a little Polaroid style of card, and I did use a stamp or die set from Sizzix to get that Polaroid look. And these next two slimline cards are super. Oh, so I did remember. So I did catch the eyes on this one. So you'll see what a difference it makes. The unicorn before I put the white kind of highlight, and then now with it, doesn't that make all the difference in the world? So so these slimline ones are super, super fast to put together because the pattern paper that's provided in the kit just does all the work for you. It has these lovely scenes that you can just add these characters to, add a couple of chat bubble sentiments, and then you're done. This one, I inked the sky background, but then I just fussy cut from the die cut sheets to get my tiger. And this last one, I used the die cut to actually trace out, because there isn't a stamp, my little pattern. So thank you so much for joining me for this video. I hope that you enjoyed these cards, and until my next video, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Thanks. Bye.